Hi, welcome back to another weekly edition of The Black Image, where we look at life from an Afro-centric view. I'm your host, Clayton, and I have a very special guest. Here, he's a prolific artist. Here, back from his tour of Europe and Scandinavia. Welcome to the floor. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Clavin. I listen to your show every week. I'm a big fan.
Thank you.
Hometown Frankenmuth. Go Muskies.
It's actually pronounced Frankenmuth.
If you want to be an elitist, but I never pegged your show for elitism.
Well, it's the Black Image.
I respect that.
Thank you.
I do have a bone to pick with the Frankenmuth City Council. As you know, I'm a big proponent of free speech and free expression of the arts.
Of course.
And recently, when I tried to submit some of my art, it was rejected. So I really have an issue with that, but I'm really here to discuss my art.
You know, sometimes when I just get so freaking angry,
And you should.
I sit down, I drink a tall glass of milk, which, frankly, my bowels cannot handle. I explode immediately.
Oh, you're lactose.
Yeah.
That's bad news.
It's the Black Image. We all
I have an issue with eggs.
I love them.
I love eggs too, but I just can't eat them.
You know?
Did you know dogs came from eggs? Originally.
Okay, because I was going to say, I think that they're live born?
Now they are.
Okay, but the original.
Things change. It's called evolution.
Well, you know, I'm black, so as a devout Christian, my faith is in our Lord and Savior, and I just cannot speak on that devil. What I do want to speak on with you today is your art.
Yes.
And the impact
Yes.
that it is having
Yes.
on us as a society right now. You are blowing up. You've been in magazines.
Yes.
You have been featured in feature film movies. And I just have to know what's going on in the world.
Well, a lot is going on, but more importantly, I brought about 4 images, I believe, that I worked on in the past week that I'm going to submit to multiple galleries and art fairs across the country. And there's a style of art that I do that I'm very fond of, that it's a fixation, really. I do a lot of commissions for anonymous clients, mostly. So let's take a look at this first image. I sketched this one out, colored it recently.
Now, upon first glancing at this, I gotta say, the first thing I'm looking at
is tits.
They are in full display. What made them the centerpiece of this art piece?
Well, I really like tits.
Right.
Lactating tits. We have she's a cowgirl. I also included a little bit of bondage. You can see her hands are tied up, and I guess this is her form of branding, if you will, on the farm. It's more like a...
Now, in black culture, weave, we call it horsehair. So the weave comes from horses. So in this case, where is this weave coming from for her? Where do they get it from?
That's her mane. Yeah, it's coming from her head. But did you look at her tits?
I noticed that there seemed to have been some kind of substance on
they're
them.
lactating tits.
So she's recently a mother. She's recently a mother. Okay, that's amazing.
It says something about, we have issues now with breastfeeding in public. A lot of people take issue with that. This is my sort of, go to the hen house with that one.
Well, it's strong for you to have your courage to say and display the things that you feel as an artiste.
Yeah, that's what I am.
That people need to see.
I like drawing tits. So if you want to take a look at the next one, okay, this is what I call love.
Okay, and I see that you mixed a color relationship. This is the Black Image, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from Frankenmuth, Michigan.
Now, what do people, the jackal, they say that the son of the devil, the Antichrist, was, a cross between a human and a jackal. And so we have a dark-skinned jackal that represents the black man. And he's got a really big dick. And this is a white sheepdog. I made her tits like a C because,
Now, I noticed that she has very ferocious teeth. Is she going to bite him? Is he defending himself? She seems like she's going to attack this black man.
These are canines. She's the arm wrapping around the back of his head.
She's trying to attack this black man.
She is welcoming it. She wants his big red cock in her.
Now, did you use the blue tones to signify the police and the black man's overtaking?
Yes.
And overpowering the police officers?
Yes, you're the first one to get that.
I immediately spoke to
you because you study art, and that's why I came on your show.
This is the Black Image coming to you from Frankenmuth, Michigan.
So yeah.
Okay. I noticed. Is this like a homage to an afro?
You can call it that. I mean, a jackal. Where do animals wear their hair?
All over.
With the tails, of course.
Of course.
If you had a tail, I'm sure
I'd fly around like Tails from Sonic.
Yeah. Or maybe you might braid it into cornrows or something.
That's black.
Black hair is
black people do that.
Beautiful.
Yes.
There's so much you can do with it, but if you were an animal and you had a hairy tail or a strip of hair running down your spine like a mane, I'm sure you'd do something with that too.
360s.
This is the humanization of the animal form, anthropomorphic.
Now, is this tail signifying that there's a third-party place that you cut out of the picture?
Oh, you're not supposed to see. There was a larger, but I'm only giving you a tidbit. I don't want to spill all the beans
How
before
many white women did this black man overtake?
Well, he didn't. They're welcoming it. They're. He doesn't have to, and that's the message that America needs to get over. Is the black man shouldn't have to overtake anyone, overpower anyone. It should be welcomed. White women need to welcome black men inside of them.
We're still here with the Black Image, coming to you live from Frankenmuth, Michigan. I'm here with Arthur, with his art collection.
Arthur Plennis, yes. We were just discussing the interracial overtones of this piece of art I made. I
noticed that the neck grip is very strong. There's a very strong neck grip.
Well, yeah, it's gotta be. This is passion. Anthropomorphic passion. Huh?
Okay, and speaking of passion, what got you started in drawing these images, crafting this imagery for the masses? What began this drawing?
Well, it's my love for anthropomorphic creatures. It could span from early childhood, cartoons, comics, things like that. But I love the anthropomorphization of animals, feral animals. I believe we anthropomorphize our own pets. It's something we do. We want to do it. It's how we bond with other species. We recognize their faces. We recognize their emotions. We recognize their genitalia.
Now, my viewership are primarily black, and they're not going to know what that word means.
It's basically if you take an animal and you make it walk upright and act like a human, dress like a human, have sex like a human, talk like a human.
A furry.
A furry. That's the term that I hear a lot. I'm not familiar with that group, but they do patronize my art.
Upright, walking, talking animals.
Yes, fucking.
That is also
fucking and putting their cocks inside each other.
I noticed that seems to be a driving factor in your art. There seems to be a lot of sexual conduct in there, which I believe brings us to our next picture. And I wanted to know, it seems that during this time you had a rough patch in your life. You were going through things, and you can see by the next picture that there was clearly something on your mind. What was on your mind when
My
you created
mother.
this? Your mother. Now, I have to ask. Where do you see your mother in this?
Well, there's you. Okay.
Right. Because I mean, this one's got. She's just full of. There's a lot of fluids, and is that a thong around the ball sack? Did you make? Is there like a ball sack thong?
It's the underwear sagging down from the weight of her testicles. You can see that I made the teats very large. My mother had very large teats. She's lactating. She's vomiting milk. She's has an enormous cock. My mother didn't have an enormous cock, but a single woman like my mother had to assume both roles, parental roles of father and mother. And so the cock symbolizes what single mothers have to go through. They need a big cock to raise a home all by themselves.
Now, you're speaking specifically about her being a single mother because of the horrific accident that happened to your father when he was mangled and dragged apart by several different wild animals. And I wonder, what did you take from his death and the graphic way in which he died?
A lot of people, they're surprised when I answer this, but he had it coming.
I'm surprised. I'm very surprised to hear you say that.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was a hunter. He murdered a lot of animals, and he practiced taxidermy a lot. He tried to get me into it. I used to have to split them open, remove, the innards. We'd have to dry out the skins, and I just couldn't get into it. I said, "Daddy, I don't want to do this," and he would call me names. He would put me in a dress and make me go to school in a dress because I didn't want to kill animals with him.
And you got through this, and soon into your high school, and
he was also very jealous of me and my mother.
I was going to bring it back to your mother. You got through high school. You find out about your father's incident, and not soon after your father passes, you find out that your father was actually your uncle who had molested his sister, and that your mother was actually your aunt/mother.
Yeah, it was an incestuous.
Yeah.
It was a sham marriage, and legally they weren't married.
Your father was abusive to you,
verbally and emotionally.
He dies tragically, being torn apart for hours by wild animals.
Yeah, coyotes.
You find out that your mother was actually the victim of your father being her own brother and raping her, and you were born of incest.
Yes.
And it was at this moment that you found the love of your life.
Well, mom always comes first. But yes, it was about this time. I was just a doodler in high school. I just doodled pictures of like tits and cocks, and and after my father passed, I started to draw animals.
Well, I would say he did more than pass, but
again, good riddance is what I say.
Black image.
Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. But my art teacher at the time, Mrs. Calabash, she took an interest. She said I had talent. She started inviting me over to her house and giving me lessons.
Calabash, that's Hispanic, right?
No, it's Dutch.
Oh, okay.
But she did look a little Hispanic.
I was thinking.
Yeah. So I started going over to her house a lot, and she started showing me a lot of things and teaching me about art and her body. And
how old were you at this time?
I was 17.
Okay.
Just turned 17. And she was about 63.
Okay.
Yeah. And
But that ass, though.
Well,
But that ass,
it
though.
drew me in. I can say that. The smell, one of the times I was over there, she went to use the restroom, and she caught me peeking in on her and watching her take a shit. And she said, don't just stand there, just, come on in. And I opened up the door, and I sat on her lap while she shat. And
what made you feel as though this was the one? The shit?
We just looked in each other's eyes, and she just kept shitting, and I fell in love.
We're back with the Black Image, coming to you live from Frankenmuth, Michigan. I'm here with Sir Arthur, recently knighted by the Queen. Arthur Plenis. Plenis.
Plenis.
I thought the L was silent, I'm sorry.
Regional dialect.
It is, and I appreciate that you noticed that.
Here in Michigan, we pronounce every syllable, every consonant, every letter.
If you aren't aware, you are our first Caucus Asian.
I am aware. I watch your show weekly. I'm very proud.
It is an honor to have someone of such high regard, an artiste, a Leonardo da Vinci of your kind, of your field. You're the Michael Jordan of whatever the fuck this is.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Let's move on to your last and final image.
Some people might call this lowbrow. This was a commission I did. It's one panel, I believe, out of a series of images I drew, a story. It's the first time I ever put my art to a story. Some people call it a comic, but I was paid very well for this, but I really put a lot of effort into this next image.
Well, let's take a look at your final piece. This is what's supposed to be featured in the front of Time magazine tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, Times magazine.
Oh, that's...
Yeah, it's an airport magazine. The ones you get on the airplane. I would like to be on Time. That is my... it's in my bucket list.
Okay. Let's see this last image. Oh. Okay. So talk to me about this one.
Well, this is, it's pretty obvious. It's a donkey with a very... Well, you can... A jenny. They call donkeys jennies, the females. She's sitting on a very pink cock. This is what you call a sheath. The penis slides out of the sheath on your typical animal or mammal. And she's gripping the piss slit of this one as cum oozes out of it. We've got a canine down here at the bottom.
That's a dog?
Yes. Yeah, and she's drinking the cum. The balls are in her mouth.
Now, with these different kinds of animals, is that bestiality?
No, this is, I mean,
if humans have sex with another
imagine
animal,
it this way.
Okay.
Let's just say for a second,
Should I close my eyes?
No, she's a Hispanic. Let's just assume. He's Italian, obviously, and this is a not Asian, but let's just say an Irish.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm saying if this is multiple species, but it's what I'm trying to say in here. Imagine these are all different races and ethnicities, all getting together to suck cock and fuck and come in each other's mouths and put their balls on their face and run their big dicks between tits and
now, my question
tits and dicks.
is why are we discussing the issue of safe sex? What's your stance on interspecies safe sex practices?
Well, I wouldn't. I mean, again, this is a fantasy depiction that symbolizes the multiple ethnicities. I don't actually condone having sex with animals, because you can get a lot of diseases.
You learned this firsthand?
Yeah, I did.
What do you think was the most impactful part of that lesson?
The most impactful part of what?
Having sex with animals and getting diseases.
Well, it only happened twice.
And what was your biggest takeaway from that?
It feels just like a regular woman.
I was gonna say probably the disease was
There's
the
a, but
biggest
there's a well, there's a
takeaway.
little bit of a smell
Right.
that you have to get used to, and then I mean the disease. It's just they don't clean them. We have different biomes. You know what really the problem was? It wasn't so much the disease. It was the fact I didn't wash for about 3 or 4 days.
Okay.
That kind of gave it a little bit of,
Acceleration.
wiggle room to
Yeah.
grow, to generate, multiple microbiomes that really don't belong on my penis.
Well, speaking of generate, you are generating a lot of buzz right now.
Yeah, I could see that they're flagging us over there, telling us the phones are. There's also a sheriff's deputy over there too. And
I can't.
is he a fan or?
Well, no. He's white, and this is the black image.
Okay. Do they stop by often, or is it just for me?
I think that they're making sure that we're safe because they see the artist, the artistic viewpoint. They know that people will not understand.
Okay, that's good. And I didn't know.
Let me ask you, what is the lasting thought that you would like for our viewers and our watchers about your views on life and how this has impacted you and how you want your art to impact the world?
Fluids. I like fluids. Don't be scared of fluids. Fluids are good. Lots of fluids. It's normal to like big tits and big cocks. And if you got a pen and some paper, start doodling like I did. Just start putting everything you can into that sheet of paper and just let it grow, unrestricted, unregulated. That's what true art is. You cannot, you can't censor yourself when you're creating art. This is why I don't believe comedy is an art, because in comedy you have to censor yourself in order to expand your audiences, in order to follow, television, guidelines and things like that. So they're restricting themselves.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, but when it comes to art, this is unrestricted art right here. This is what happens when you leave someone alone with a pencil and a paper in their own mind, and no psychiatrist, no therapy, no medication.
History of animalities.
Abnormalities, animalities.
I'm honored to have you on the show. This
Thank
is
you.
Black Image from.
Oh, I'm Arthur Plennis.
Yes.
Yes.
Arthur Plennis. I'm sorry.
I love.
The imagery is very strong. It's very strong imagery.
I love touching base. I'd love to touch base with you again next time I'm back in Frankenmuth, Michigan. Go Muskies.
Well, thank you, everyone. Once again, we're here with the Black Image. We'll be back with you after this break. I'm gonna give you some time to finish up over there. I'm just gonna be back at this commercial.